that what if nothing is out of order in the deep I am that I am? What if everything is in its perfect cycle of birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth? It's amazing. What if nothing's really wrong? So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And my name is Angela Montano. This is Prayer on the Air. I welcome you to feel what it is like to enter the prayer field, a space in which we are willing to release the idea that I am the doer, I am on my own, separate and apart from others, responsible for something, someone, even myself. We're letting that go to enter into, I'm not the doer. I'm the beholder. I'm the allower of what it is being and doing as me. We come together to accept that, this presence sees around the corners, that it's not influenced by any fear. Can you imagine? Who and what I am, who and what you are, truly is not influenced by fear. I'm talking about the true divine nature. And yet this true divine nature is so compassionate, so inclusive. It welcomes the fearful ones. The fearful ones in me. I say that because I think we may all have many parts, is welcome to rest in the love, dissolve into the love, and shift. We shift our attention from what might go wrong, what might go wrong, what is going wrong, to what is actually not wrong. So when we're resting in the divine love, resting in here and now, resting in it sounds like, well, I guess you're just going to be a couch potato and none of your bills are going to be paid and none of your responsibilities are going to be met. But quite a magical thing happens. The deeper we rest in true presence, our true nature, it really does animate our own being. It's immovable, and yet it moves as us. And yet we have to get our bloated nothingness out of the way. How do we get our bloated nothingness out of the way? That's who I take myself to be. Maybe running around with my head on fire, in my head. Or maybe who I take myself to be is hardened into resentment. Who I take myself to be is confused. So it's never excluding anything or anyone. That is always welcome. And when we bring all of who we are into prayer, a beautiful vulnerability happens. And we live with this beautiful vulnerability. It doesn't cut off our humanity. I used to think it does, that if I knew who and whose I am and walked in the faith that is, I thought, it's going to be very robotic. It's going to be very weird. Like, that doesn't sound very alive. But in reality, as I've experienced it, in reality with a capital R, the more I surrender and submit to my true fearlessness, I'm still me. I'm still this flavor, this texture, this cadence that I express. It still is the note on the piano. It's just without the drama, without the hypnotism of the storyline that something is wrong, that something's out of place. And so, what's so fascinating is as we let go and allow our true nature, its full expression, it feels like the biggest risk in the world. We start to realize it's responsive. It is responsive. I had a demonstration of this that puts me in a really good light. I think of it as, I'm kind of bragging. I think it puts me in a good light. You may not. So I'm walking our Belgian Malinois. We have a pretty fierce looking dog, Toby. It's like 90 some pounds. And it's a long story how we ended up with this beautiful, beautiful creature. And we're really in a beautiful state. It happens on this one walk. Sometimes when my husband and I walk, we're not. We're nah. But this time we were in a really nice mood and very amazing weather, like warm sun, cool air. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, a dog comes from out a house from across the street and lunges at our dog. And my dog is fierce. He's never bitten anyone or anything, but like we have been so careful to make sure there was never anything like that could ever happen. I, like a ninja warrior, get between the two dogs. And I wish y'all could have seen me. I was like, I was like lunging at the dog. And, I was just amazing. And I did it for enough time that the people who owned the dog were able to race from out of their house across the street and over there and get their dog. And my husband couldn't do that because he was like pulling back with the leash, and my dog, that energy, like if he wants to go, you're gone. My husband loves this dog so much. He really loved me more for putting my life at risk for the dog. But I'm telling you, it spontaneously arose. Now I'm what is the word? Like I don't know what the word is, but I'm acting like I did that is what I'm saying. I'm egoized. That's what ego does, right? Ego immediately wants to take credit. Like, wow, I'm brave. Look what I did. The ego wants to eye it. Guess what I did? See how I'm doing that? But that's what it did as me. It just did it as me. This deep I am nature of us is so responsive when we're not overlaying our true nature with all these stories. It's just like we're that much more responsive to life. So it's such a thrill to think I don't have to be the doer. I don't have to figure it out. But this is the rub. The part of me or you or us that doesn't know our true nature came up with this idea at some point that love had to be earned, that we have to do in order to be worthy of it. So that's what we're awakening. That's the dream we're wanting to wake up from. The dream that I'm the doer, I'm the fixer, and we're waking up to I am the receiver, I am the allower, I am the one who lets. But daggone it, those movies that play in our heads, as I like to say, with the past and the future, they're just so compelling. And they have me cast as a character that might blow it, that did blow it, that can't believe I'm blowing it right now. Or can't believe they're blowing it. Maybe my story now is they're blowing it. And let me tell you how they're blowing it. Like, I absolutely know I'm right. But what can I do? I don't have the power, but they're blowing it. Isn't it amazing just to consider for a nanosecond, maybe a second, maybe a half a minute, maybe more, that what if nothing is out of order? in the deep I am that I am? What if everything is in its perfect cycle of birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth? It's amazing. What if nothing's really wrong? My mind would go, well, having no money, that's wrong. That's difficult. But how do we know it's wrong to have no money? What is available for us? And I've counseled so many people who told me they had no money, and then I'm like, okay, tell me every bit of money you have. And guess what? Not one person who's told me they had no money actually had no money. It's just like we get that story going, and then we are living as if we have no money. I have no friends. I have nowhere to sleep. I have no home. It's just really, really open-minded questioning that. So again, my name is Angela Montano. You can go to angelamontano.com to sign up and be part of Prayer on the Air Live, Mondays, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And now we're going to move into the part of our podcast where we listen with the heart. We listen to the prayer request of the person that is speaking, and we see what we can catch in terms of the divine qualities that want to come forward. And I invite you that have your hands raised, and I invite you that don't, who will write their request in the chat. Please write your request in the chat. I invite you to even see, and if this makes you too tongue-tied, you don't have to, but see if you can even discern what is the quality of your true nature you're intending to surrender to. What I want to, because when we pray for one another, we're not praying from past and future, like, golly, this thing that happened, I hope it turns out. Yikes. Okay, I'll throw up a prayer for you. Oh, I don't even like to think about that. Well, I'm glad that's not me. This is not what we're doing. We're listening for the movement of God. Just like some of us might have an accountant that tracks the movement of our money. As a prayer practitioner, and I believe everybody on the planet is, and not everyone knows it, you're tracking the movement of God. You're tracking the movement of God within your apparent enemy, your apparent friend. I don't want to track the movement of God in my enemy. Let me tell you what they did. Let me tell you what's wrong with them. Let me tell you what they did to me. Let me tell you how off base they are. That's what I want to do. I want to get you on my side. Don't you think they're terrible? Can you believe it? Right? That's that reptilian part of us that doesn't know we're all one. We're all one. What's looking at me through you, what's looking through and at however you, through me, is the same life, the wholeness and the completeness of God. And how long can I keep track of that? Can I keep track of the movement of God as me for this whole podcast? Can you? So it's really intentional listen when we're praying. We want to be more interested in the wholeness and the completeness and the miracles that are alive in the person speaking than the problem they may be struggling with. So why are they asking for prayer? Because they need help with that. Because I need help with that. I need help keeping track of God is I am, or God is love, beauty is. I need help keeping track of I am but the allower and beholder of what the light is being as me and I am to rest in it, because I get confused and think I'm the doer. So when we pray for someone, we're just doing for someone what we would love someone to do for us, which is to remember who I am. Remember what I am. Remember who you are. Remember what I am. So we have an amazing opportunity to really drop into this prayerfulness when we're listening to someone else, because I might find it easier to be awake to the God I am of you than me, right? I'm so invested emotionally in my own story. I'm a little less emotionally invested in your story. And I can mirror to you being less emotionally invested in it. When I say less emotionally invested, I mean less reactive, less fearful, less identified. So it's real prayer work we're doing together. Okay?